First Contact Follies. The Celestial Dominion's flagship, Sovereign Decree, materialized above Earth's orbit like a silver needle threading through spacetime. Supreme Commander ZYXTAL stood on the bridge, their crystalline appendages glinting under the ambient light of holographic displays. Their species had conquered 17 star systems, all following the same predictable pattern. Find developing civilizations, overwhelm them with superior technology, and graciously offer protection in exchange for complete submission. Earth would be no different. Or so they thought. Scanning primitive civilization, Supreme Commander, reported First Observer Val-TH, multiple eyes blinking in sequence. Detecting numerous artificial satellites and, wait, these readings can't be correct. Explain, ZYXTAL demanded, floating closer to the observation panel. The satellites appear crude, essentially primitive radio reflectors and imaging devices. But there's something else. Val-TH's appendages twitched in confusion. Energy signatures that make no sense. They appear to be quantum fluctuations, but that's impossible for a level 2 civilization. ZYXTAL dismissed the concern with a wave of their primary limb. Sensor malfunction. Proceed with standard first contact protocols. Send the greeting sphere. The Dominion's traditional first contact method was elegant in its simplicity, a small autonomous probe that would descend to the planet's seat of government, project impressive holographic displays, and deliver their message of peaceful submission. On Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen was having a perfectly normal Tuesday morning at the Quantum Defense Initiative headquarters in Geneva when the alarm sounded. She looked up from her coffee mug, which proudly declared, "Quantum physicists do it in multiple states simultaneously." "Doctor, we have an unidentified object entering atmosphere," her AI assistant Aria reported. "Trajectory suggests deliberate descent toward the UN building." Sarah pulled up the quantum scan results and nearly spat out her coffee. Are they using basic gravitic propulsion? That's adorable." She tapped her comm link. "General Santos, you might want to see this. Looks like we have visitors, and they're bringing party tricks." The greeting sphere descended majestically through Earth's atmosphere, its golden surface refracting sunlight in carefully calculated patterns designed to inspire awe. It landed gracefully in front of the United Nations building, where a crowd quickly gathered, mostly tourists taking selfies with it. When the sphere began its practice performance, projecting massive holograms of Dominion ships and achievements, a nearby hot dog vendor complained that the light show was hurting his business. The message boomed out in multiple Earth languages: "Greetings, primitive beings. We are the Celestial Dominion, masters of 17 star systems. We offer you the privilege of joining our enlightened rule. Resist, and face annihilation." There was a moment of silence, broken by someone in the crowd shouting, "Hey, this is just like that old Star Trek episode." Laughter rippled through the gathering. In orbit, ZYXTAL watched in growing confusion as their mighty greeting sphere was treated like street entertainment. Why aren't they cowering? Where are their leaders? The answer came in the form of a communication request, not from the surface, but from somewhere much closer. A small maintenance vessel had seemingly appeared from nowhere beside their flagship. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen of Earth's Quantum Defense Initiative," a cheerful voice announced. "While we appreciate the light show, you're currently violating about 15 different first contact protocols. Also, your gravity drive is leaking exotic particles. Would you like us to send a repair crew?" ZYXTAL's crystalline form clouded with confusion. How are you in orbit? Our sensors detected no launch." "Oh, we don't really do launches anymore. Too inefficient. Quantum translocation is much cleaner." "Speaking of clean, you really should update those hologram projectors in your sphere. The energy consumption is terrible. Here, let me send you the specs for our basic civilian models." As data streamed into the Dominion's computers, ZYXTAL watched their mighty greeting sphere being towed away by Earth authorities for improper parking. Their carefully planned first contact was unraveling faster than a poorly coded quantum algorithm. Supreme Commander, Val-TH reported nervously, "I'm analyzing their data transmission. Their basic civilian technology is centuries ahead of our best military equipment." ZYXTAL sank into their command cradle, crystalline form dimming with embarrassment. "Cancel the conquest protocol. Initiate diplomatic relations." "Wonderful." Sarah's voice chimed. "We're hosting a quantum engineering conference next week. Your teams would be welcome to attend, though it might be a bit advanced for beginners. We could start you with the basics first." As the maintenance vessel disappeared with a subtle ripple of spacetime, ZYXTAL realized that the Celestial Dominion had made a terrible mistake. They hadn't found a primitive civilization to conquer. They'd found a teacher. The pride before the fall. Supreme Commander ZYXTAL faced the Dominion High Council's holographic projections, their crystalline form dulled with stress. 17 council members, representing the most powerful beings in their empire, stared down at them with various degrees of disapproval. "You mean to tell us," High Counselor Mixvra rumbled, their form flickering with anger, "that instead of conquering these humans, you accepted an invitation to their scientific conference?" "With respect, High Council," ZYXTAL responded, trying to maintain composure, "their technology far exceeds our current understanding. Perhaps if I show you the scan data." "Impossible," another council member interrupted. "Our empire has ruled space for 3 centuries. No primitive world could surpass us. Your sensors must be malfunctioning." At that moment, across Earth's solar system, humanity was proving exactly how wrong the Council was. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the Quantum Defense Initiative's primary research hub on Mars, watching as her team prepared to test their latest breakthrough. "Arya, status report on Project Mobius?" she asked, sipping from her new mug that read, "Quantum Mechanics," because classical physics was getting boring. "All parameters nominal, Doctor," the AI responded. "Though I should note that our Dominion visitors are attempting to scan this facility." "Again?" Sarah chuckled. "Still using tachyon-based sensors? Let them watch the outer shell. It might help them understand where they went wrong with their own quantum theories." The Dominion had stationed 3 observation vessels around Mars, officially to protect their diplomatic interests. In reality, they were desperately trying to understand how humans had achieved such technological superiority. On the lead observation ship, senior researcher Kel-TH was getting frustrated. "Commander, I don't understand. The facility appears to be a simple pressure dome, but the energy readings, they make no sense. It's like the interior spaces exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously." Commander Vaxtil, newly assigned after the first contact debacle, flexed their crystalline appendages irritably. "Keep scanning. The Council demands answers. These humans must have some weakness." Inside the facility, Sarah's team activated their test device. A small cube, seemingly made of flowing liquid metal, hovered in the center of the chamber. "Initiating quantum state manipulation in 3, 2, 1. The cube flickered and vanished. Immediately, Sarah's comm link chimed with an incoming call from Europa Base. "Dr. Chen. Your test package just arrived. Also, the Dominion ships near Mars are going crazy with their scanning equipment. Should we tell them they're giving their sensor operators radiation poisoning?" "Let them learn the hard way," Sarah replied, then felt a twinge of guilt. "Actually, no. Send them the basic radiation shielding specs. We don't want any accidents." In the Dominion flagship, now stationed near Jupiter, ZYXTAL received the humans' transmission about radiation safety with a mixture of gratitude and humiliation. These primitives were now teaching them basic safety protocols. The Council was not pleased. "Enough." High Counselor Mixvra declared. "We will not be patronized by lesser beings. Deploy the Stellar Lance. Show them true power." The Stellar Lance was the Dominion's ultimate weapon, a massive energy cannon that could theoretically split a planet in half. As the weapon ship moved into position, human quantum sensors lit up across the solar system. Dr. Chen, Arya announced, the Dominion is preparing to fire their primary weapon. Based on their energy readings, they appear to be using an unstable matter-antimatter reaction housed in a magnetic bottle containment system. Sarah set down her coffee and sighed. That's not going to end well for them. Their containment mathematics is all wrong. She opened a channel to the Dominion fleet. Excuse me, but you might want to power down that weapon before. Too late. The Stellar Lance fired, and immediately suffered a catastrophic containment failure. The massive weapon ship began to break apart as its own energy turned inward. Without hesitation, Sarah activated the QDI's emergency response protocols. Quantum fields snapped into place around the failing Dominion vessel, containing the explosion and saving thousands of alien lives. When it was over, the mighty weapon ship hung in space, broken but its crew alive, saved by the very humans they had tried to intimidate. In the aftermath, ZYXTAL received another call from Dr. Chen. We've transported your crew to our medical facilities on Ganymede. Don't worry, we're well versed in crystalline biology. Also, we're hosting a seminar next month on stable matter-antimatter containment for beginners. Your engineers might find it helpful. As ZYXTAL watched human quantum ships effortlessly moving the wreckage of their greatest weapon into a safe orbit, they realized something that would shake the Dominion to its core: they weren't the advanced civilization discovering primitive humans. They were the primitive civilization that had just discovered advanced humans. The Council would not take this well. Tables turned. The Dominion High Council chamber had never seen such chaos. Crystalline beings shimmered and vibrated with agitation as they processed the latest developments. The mighty Stellar Lance, pride of their fleet, now floated in pieces, preserved as an impromptu educational exhibit in Earth orbit. Worse still, humans had labeled it, historic example, why proper quantum mathematics matter. This is unprecedented. High Counselor Mixfra's form pulsed with barely contained rage. First they humiliate our first contact protocols, then they treat our ultimate weapon as a teaching moment. A junior counselor nervously raised an appendage. Actually, they've invited our entire physics academy to attend something called Quantum Mechanics 101. They're offering student discounts. Meanwhile, on Saturn's largest moon Titan, Dr. Sarah Chen was dealing with an unexpected problem. Hundreds of young Dominion scientists had secretly enrolled in human online physics courses, causing a minor server overload. Arya, how many Dominion students do we have now? Sarah asked, watching holographic displays showing countless crystalline beings eagerly absorbing basic quantum theory. Currently 2,547 registered students, Dr. They're particularly struggling with quantum entanglement basics. Though I must say, their enthusiasm is heartwarming. Sarah smiled, remembering her own student days. Set up some extra tutoring sessions. And please stop calling them adorably primitive in the feedback reports. The situation reached a breaking point when a group of Dominion graduate students published a paper titled Our Empire's Understanding of Physics, a comprehensive list of mistakes. It went viral across both human and Dominion networks. Supreme Commander ZYXTAL, now serving as unofficial ambassador to Earth, found themselves in an awkward position. During a diplomatic dinner in Geneva, they watched in mixed horror and fascination as human children played with toys more advanced than Dominion military equipment. More quantum-shifted pasta, Ambassador? Sarah offered, trying not to smile as ZYXTAL stared at the food replicator in the corner. It's a basic home model, but it gets the job done. Dr. Chen, ZYXTAL began carefully, their crystalline form shifting through nervous colors. My empire is struggling with recent developments. Half our young ones want to attend human universities, our military is requesting basic upgrades from your civilian sector, and yesterday, someone replaced all our ship's alert sounds with something called elevator music. Sarah had the grace to look slightly embarrassed about that last part. Yes, we're still trying to track down the prankster. Though I must admit, Beethoven's Fifth does add a certain gravitas to space battles. But beneath the humor lay a serious crisis. The Dominion's entire social structure was built on technological superiority. As their citizens began to realize just how far behind they were, ancient hierarchies started to crumble. In a secure quantum conference room on Mars, Earth's leaders debated how to handle the situation. The holographic projections of various officials flickered as they discussed the Dominion's internal turmoil. We could just give them full access to our technology, one official suggested. Their society isn't ready, Sarah countered. Remember what happened when we showed them basic quantum computing? 3 of their mathematicians had existential crises. The solution came from an unexpected source. During a routine cultural exchange program, a human child and a young Dominion scientist had built a working fusion reactor from spare parts, just for fun. The incident highlighted something crucial: when freed from their rigid hierarchies, the Dominion's people were incredibly innovative. Sarah brought the proposal to ZYXTAL. Instead of either hiding or overwhelming them with human technology, why not help them develop their own path? Your people aren't primitive, she explained, sliding a quantum tablet across the table. You were just stuck in a technological rut. Sometimes you need an outside perspective to see new possibilities. The tablet contained plans for a joint Human-Dominion Research Institute, where both species could learn from each other. More importantly, it would help the Dominion develop technology that suited their unique crystalline nature, rather than simply copying human designs. ZYXTAL studied the proposal, their form gradually brightening. This could work. But the Council has already received copies from their children, Sarah finished with a grin. Apparently, your younger generation is quite persuasive. They're calling it the Crystal Clear Future Initiative. As if to punctuate the moment, a notification chimed on Sarah's quantum comm. Breaking news: Dominion High Council overthrown by graduate students armed with physics textbooks. ZYXTAL's crystalline form flickered in what Sarah had learned was their version of laughter. Perhaps, they mused, being humbled by humanity was the best thing that could have happened to us. Just wait until you see what we've got planned for the Cultural Exchange Festival next week, Sarah replied, her eyes twinkling. Ever heard of karaoke? The fall of the mighty Dominion Empire ended not with a bang, but with a physics lesson and the distant sound of crystalline beings attempting to sing, "Don't Stop Believin'." Learning to dance. The Saturn Institute of Cross-Species Innovation buzzed with activity, quite literally. The crystalline harmonics of excited Dominion students resonated through its quantum-stabilized halls. In what was once unthinkable, humans and Dominion researchers worked side by side, each bringing their unique perspectives to shared challenges. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in her office, watching through the phase-shifted windows as a group of Dominion crystals attempted to play basketball with human children. They were surprisingly good at it, using their natural refraction properties to calculate perfect shots. Dr. Arya chimed in, "You might want to see this. The cultural integration algorithms are producing some interesting results." On her quantum display, Sarah watched as Dominion engineer Val Th demonstrated their latest invention, a device that translated human music into crystalline resonance patterns. Currently, it was converting heavy metal into a dazzling light show that had several Dominion elders vibrating in what could only be described as head-banging. Well, Sarah mused, that's one way to bridge the cultural gap. But not everything was going smoothly. In the station's primary research lab, a young Dominion scientist named Kex Lee was having an existential crisis over a cup of coffee. "But how can you drink it?" they asked their human colleague, Tom Martinez. "It exists in a liquid state. The molecular chaos, the entropy, it's madness." Tom took a long sip from his mug, labeled "Entropy Happens." That's kind of the point, Kex. Sometimes a little chaos is exactly what you need. The real breakthrough came during what was supposed to be a routine quantum physics class. A Dominion student, trying to understand human perspectives on wave-particle duality, accidentally discovered that their crystalline body could serve as a natural quantum computer. "You mean we've been quantum computers this whole time?" asked former Supreme Commander ZYX, who had traded their military title for a position as head of Xenocultural Studies. "More like quantum computer potential," Sarah explained, excitement making her words tumble out faster. "Your crystalline structure can maintain quantum coherence at room temperature. You just never thought to use it that way because you were too focused on building external technology." The discovery led to a complete reimagining of Dominion technology. Instead of copying human designs, they began developing systems that worked in harmony with their crystalline nature. Their ships started to look less like traditional space vessels and more like flying geometric gardens of living crystal. But with growth came growing pains. During the first Interstellar Cultural Festival, a human DJ accidentally set off a resonance cascade that had half the Dominion attendees involuntarily dancing. Meanwhile, a Dominion art installation meant to showcase human emotional spectra temporarily gave everyone within range synesthesia. "At least nobody got hurt," Sarah said during the subsequent safety review. "Though I have to admit, being able to taste colors for an hour was interesting." The real test of their growing partnership came when long-range sensors detected something troubling, a void in space, moving against the galactic currents. Something that absorbed both light and quantum information, leaving only darkness in its wake. In the emergency meeting that followed, human and Dominion leaders faced each other across a table that hadn't existed in normal spacetime until moments ago. "We've encountered these entities before," ZYX explained, their crystalline form dimmed with memory. "We called them the Void Dancers. They're why our empire became so focused on military might. We never found a way to fight them." Sarah studied the sensor readings, a thoughtful expression on her face. "Maybe fighting isn't the answer. Look at these patterns, they're not random. They're dancing." "Dancing?" several voices asked simultaneously. "Yes," Sarah said, growing excited. "They're moving in response to quantum fluctuations, like they're following music we can't hear. And who do we know that can literally turn quantum states into music?" All eyes and crystalline sensors turned to Val Th, who was still wearing their quantum resonance headphones. What followed was perhaps the strangest first contact in human history, a joint human-Dominion effort to communicate with cosmic entities through quantum harmonics and crystalline light shows. The void entities, as it turned out, weren't hostile, they were lonely, searching the galaxy for others who could dance to the music of quantum strings. "You know," Tom said to Kex Lee as they watched the Void Dancers perform an impossible ballet with a group of crystalline ships, "I think this is what both our species needed. The Dominion learned to embrace a little chaos, and we humans learned that sometimes the best solution isn't the most advanced technology, it's finding the right rhythm." Kex Lee, who had finally learned to appreciate coffee, in small, carefully measured doses, nodded thoughtfully. "Perhaps that is why the universe brought our species together. Humans taught us to think outside our rigid structures, and you taught us that even in a quantum universe, there's beauty in crystal clarity," Sarah finished, joining them at the observation window. "Now, who's ready for the first ever three-species dance party? I hear the Void Dancers do a mean quantum waltz. New Horizons." 10 years after the first awkward meeting between humanity and the crystalline Dominion, the Sol Dominion cooperative space had become the galaxy's most fascinating melting pot of ideas, cultures, and technologies. The infamous First Contact Sphere, once a symbol of attempted conquest, now served as a popular interactive museum piece on Mars, regularly swarmed by schoolchildren from both species. Dr. Sarah Chen, now Director of Interspecies Scientific Development, stood in her office aboard the quantum-shifted space station, Harmony Point. Through her window, she watched a group of void dancers performing their ethereal ballet around a newly constructed crystalline habitat sphere. Their dark forms created patterns that seemed to bend reality itself, accompanied by quantum harmonics that made the very fabric of spacetime sing. 10 years, she mused to her AI assistant. Sometimes I still can't believe how far we've come. Indeed, Doctor, Arya responded. Though I'm still processing the fact that last week's interspecies talent show included a void dancer performing what they called a quantum jazz fusion with a Dominion crystal choir. The talent show had been just one part of the decade anniversary celebrations. More significant was the launch of the first joint Human-Dominion Void Explorer fleet, ships that combined human quantum engineering, Dominion crystalline computing, and the Void Dancer's ability to navigate the spaces between spaces. In the station's central atrium, former Supreme Commander ZYX Tao, now Professor of Comparative Cultural Studies, was giving a lecture to a mixed group of human and Dominion students. Their crystalline form shimmered with educational enthusiasm. The key to our species' successful partnership, they explained, wasn't just technological exchange, but learning to appreciate our fundamental differences. Humans taught us that imperfection and chaos aren't weaknesses, they're opportunities for growth. And you taught us that even the most rigid structures can learn to dance, finished Tom Martinez, walking in with his usual cup of coffee. His quantum physics students followed, including several young Dominion crystals who had recently developed a concerning addiction to espresso. The real triumph of their cooperation became apparent when the first reports came in from the Explorer fleet. They had discovered something extraordinary, signs of other civilizations, hidden in the quantum foam between dimensions. The universe, it seemed, was far more crowded and interesting than anyone had imagined. It's like a cosmic block party, Sarah explained to the Joint Council. And we finally figured out how to hear the music. The Void Dancers, it turned out, had been trying to build a network of civilizations all along. They just needed species that could understand both the mathematics of existence and the joy of discovery. The combination of human creativity, Dominion precision, and Void Dancer perception created something entirely new, a civilization that could literally dance between the stars. During the evening celebration aboard Harmony Point, Sarah found herself sharing a quiet moment with Kexley, who had become one of the leading researchers in quantum crystalline computing. Remember when we thought your people were primitive? Kexley asked, their crystalline form tinting with embarrassment. Now look at us, teaching quantum physics to void entities and building ships that surf probability waves. Sarah laughed, raising her coffee mug, now labeled quantum mechanics, making the impossible probable since 2024. And remember when we thought your people were just rigid conquerors? Turns out you were natural artists waiting to happen. The station's quantum fields hummed with a new frequency as a group of void dancers approached, their dark forms swirling with curious patterns. They had learned to modify their appearance to be less terrifying, though they still occasionally forgot and accidentally gave people existential crises. They want to show us something, Kexley translated, their crystalline structure resonating with the quantum harmonics. The void dancers had discovered what they called a grand ballroom, a massive region of spacetime where multiple dimensions intersected. As the combined fleet prepared for this new exploration, Sarah reflected on how far they'd all come. Humans had learned that not all advanced technology needed to be complex, the Dominion had discovered that strength could come from adaptation rather than domination, and the Void Dancers had finally found partners who could appreciate their cosmic choreography. You know what this means? Tom asked, joining them at the observation window. We're going to need a bigger dance floor. The future stretched before them like an infinite crystal, refracting possibilities in every direction. And somewhere in the quantum foam between dimensions, the music of the spheres played on, now accompanied by human laughter, crystalline harmonies, and the subtle rhythms of the void itself. As Harmony Point prepared for its next mission, a small plaque hung in its main corridor, bearing words in human, Dominion, and void script. The universe is not a problem to be solved, but a dance to be learned. Together, we're just beginning to hear the music.